Welcome to Fanpale Podcast, where we are unpacking opinions and changing destinations. I am your host, Shirley Altador, where each week we will chat about how to rise strong out of all types of obstacles that come with relationships. Through personal life experiences and discussions ranging from infidelity, trust, forgiveness, sex, heartbreak, self-love, and so much more. I am passionate and obsessed to provide guidance to every woman to create a better life. Let's dive in, pull up a seat, make sure you're cozy, and get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn. With me, your virtual girlfriend. Welcome back to another fabulous episode of Fanpale Podcast. Today we have a repeated guest with us today, Neha Sonney. She is gracing us with her beautiful presence that you guys cannot see. On our last episode, we talked about how Tantra can help women get in touch with their femininity. And it was a great conversation. And I wanted her to come back on the show. And she is back today. And we are going to be hearing about her story. So I'm going to pass her the mic to introduce herself again. How are you today?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Wonderful,
Thank you
wonderful.
so much. I'm so happy
All
to
right.
be back.
Let's remind the people who you are.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Shirley. I am, as you said, Neha Sonney, and recently rebranding myself as the self-love advocate. And I'm realizing that I help people understand why they don't like themselves, discover why they feel unworthy. I help them rewrite their story so that they can finally love themselves, which has probably been the work of my life, my conscious life, I would say. And I wrote quite a bit about it in my book, Wired for Self-Love. And I'm happy to share about my past, what it was like. Loveless, no confidence. I was a nobody to myself, nothing. So let's go back to childhood or wherever.
She's so cute as she's talking. So, as you guys know on Fanpale Podcast, nothing is taboo. And I like to keep it authentic and real. This beautiful lady here, when I first saw her, I didn't know what nationality she was as I'm looking at her and talking to her. So when we were off air on the last episode, we had a quick little discussion. And in my mind, I immediately assumed Hispanic, and she is not Hispanic at all. She is of Indian descent, and it was very intriguing for me. And I guess you say, it's okay. It's all right. This is the realness of our podcast. Sometimes we forget things and the phone might vibrate. It is okay.
There is construction work going on.
Was that construction, not a vibration? Really? Oh my. That sounded like a vibrating phone.
Can you hear something? That's some construction going on, and then there was a drill separate. That was separate.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. You're totally okay. You're totally okay. But I assumed that she was Hispanic. And she wasn't Hispanic. She's of Indian descent. So when I found out she was of Indian descent, talking about sex, it was a major shocker to me. And I had told her that when I think of Indian women, I think of holy, only having sex to procreate. All marriages are arranged. And the women are beyond obedient to their husbands. And I don't think no is a word that they use, which is, I guess, my ignorance, to say the least, of what society has made me believe, as though these women have no voice. But obviously, the one sitting in front of me has a very loud voice. and she's learned to project it, even though she sounds as soft as she does on air. But I'm going to pass her the mic again so she can give us a little story of who she is, what she is, how was life growing up.
Yeah, life growing up was not. I won't say I had the best childhood. I have some good memories, but most memories are traumatizing. So I don't like my mind chose to forget a lot of those. And I was very much a lot of what you said. Uh, Saying yes to an arranged marriage to somebody a completely an absolute stranger, and uh, just no is not a word that you use. That's what something again I was before I was about to get married. This is what one of my aunts said: no matter what happens, just keep your silence, never speak up. And that went totally against me, and I will tell you why. Um, Growing up with a narcissistic parent, I witnessed like things flying around the house. One time it happened to be an alarm clock, another time a magazine, a third time it happened to be a rusty pair of scissors that pokes my sister in the leg. And as a 6 year old, I watched that horror movie going on in front of my eyes, trying to understand what is normal in my world. And the next thing that happens is my sister wakes up from her sleep because she had fallen asleep on her homework, which ticked off my mom's anger in the first place. And then the next thing I hear is, please take her to the hospital, but don't tell anyone how the injury occurred. So, how safe would someone who had witnessed this as a 6 year old feel? And there was no resolve for this memory. I grew up feeling like, walking around eggshells around my mom, saying yes to everything to the extent of pleasing her in every single way that I could, to trying to score marks just to see a smile on her face and approval in her eyes so that she won't pick up the cane, or her hand would whack our little cheeks or bang our heads against the wall. So I was living in a lot of fear, and back then I didn't even know that she's a narcissist. And I have seen better sides of her towards other children, which I did not understand. Like, I could not put these two behaviors together. Like, why does she have a different side, and why can't she be nice to my sister and I? And at age 11, I decided that I'm going to be a very different mother, Shirley. um, and
Is it just
yeah,
you and your
just me and my
sister?
sister. But now I see the whole family is kind of, in a different place now. And not that I'm very close to them and I don't want to be. They're in Mumbai right now and things
Mm-hmm.
are different, better, whatever. But it's like I'm kind
Mm-hmm.
of estranged from a family like that, and from what I went through, like growing. I grew up in Bahrain, and then when I moved to Mumbai because I had to I had to go to graduate school, like university. And then my
Mm-hmm.
mother decides that it's better to get this beautiful daughter of hers, you know married and settled before she gets into any sort of boyfriend trouble, because Radha, my mom's name is Radha, Radha's daughters don't do that shit. So I was a daughter. I didn't have an identity of my own. And then
Oh
so
my.
some elder in the family decided that this tall, beautiful girl is going to be a good match for somebody in Hong Kong, whom I never met, no idea. But I had someone in my life from who I met at university, about whom, of course, I don't tell my mother, right? So when this conversation comes up, like, hey, I have so in Indian, like traditional Indian arranged marriages, and Hindu marriages per se, particularly you're kind of matching your horoscope. Two people's horoscopes are put together, and the priest says, oh, these two things match and these three things match and blah blah blah, and they're going to have a good life together, so it looks like from their horoscopes. So I think it's a good idea to put these two people together. This is how marriages are decided. Arranged marriages. And then the girl
Oh,
and the boy meet,
okay. So I have.
um, and then they have a conversation depending on where they're living. But I was living in India and this guy was living in Hong Kong, and I had no connection whatsoever. So I have to decide, like, okay, that I'm supposed to marry this person who I don't even know. But I'm like, I never was that type of a person, but I did not voice myself out so strongly because I was afraid. And so what happened was I was engaged to this person to be married, and he kind of came to Mumbai, saw me a few days, and
Mm-hmm,
then went back and just had we had conversations on the phone, and that's about it. Kind of building a relationship, getting to know each other, blah blah blah. But I had someone from university whom I had really liked, and I envisioned my life with this person, and
mm-hmm,
I had to, like, literally like let go of those dreams, and it was the hardest thing ever. I never got over that person until 2 decades after, and that's a different story. But
mm-hmm.
the fear I had, and my mom at that point, when she realized that, oh, I went against her, and I, like, I should have taken her permission to fall in love with someone right before I fall in love with someone. So I um kind of gave into that, like, okay, fine, marriage. And then this person who I envisioned to be, he was not in Mumbai, so I could not do anything at that time. I did, even though I met him in Mumbai, he was not there at the time
Mm-hmm.
of this, while that marriage was being fixed and talked about. And when that marriage was fixed, my mother decided that she's not going to talk to me, because that's exactly what narcissists do. They give the silent treatment. So I was familiar with that, but I didn't know she's going to do that. And yeah.
So let me ask you, number one, how old were you, and how old was the
How
gentleman
old
in
was
Hong
I?
Kong? Yes, when your mother was setting up your
21,
arranged marriage. And how old was the gentleman in Hong Kong?
24, 25?
Okay, so he wasn't too
No.
significantly older, which, okay. And he was also of the
Yeah.
same descent, even though he
Yeah.
was living in Hong Kong. Now, that's interesting you say. Two things I want to say also to the listeners. Please understand that regardless what ethnicity you are and what culture you're from, we are not downing arranged marriages. This is her story, and this is what she's sharing and her experience. So please don't take it as we're putting this negative blanket over arranged marriages. There are many people who've had arranged marriages and it worked out just well, perfectly fine, lived perfect lives. And there are some people it hasn't been great. So please keep that in mind. Now, to continue, you also said something about horoscope, which I didn't realize that, because I thought it was you had to be of the same financial class, like poor, poor, me, or rich, rich, because we all know when you're from another country other than from the US, it's either you're really poor or you're really rich. There's no middle class in these countries. So that's what I thought it was based on. Like poor and rich doesn't intertwine. You marry with the poor and you marry with the rich. But you said something interesting that I'd never heard of,
Yeah.
horoscope matching. This is how they do
Yeah.
it.
Among Hindus, they do this.
Okay.
And uh, just to bring clarity to this conversation, he happened to be of the same community. So if you're talking about class, we're from the same community, speaking the same mother tongue, all of those
I
things. So
see.
this is like,
Okay, so that
and
was a
the reason
match
why
as
my mom
well.
was not
Okay.
okay with that other thing was because he's not from the community. We don't know that person. We don't know anything about that community. So blah 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 blah.
I see. So it is that is true as well on
Yes,
top of the
yes,
horoscope.
yes. There,
Okay.
that is there.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's the two question that I had about the age and stuff. So okay, so you can continue. So now at 21 and 24, you guys are coming together because this is what
Yeah.
your mother want. And now a few phone conversations. How long from the moment you met this man to now the moment you marry him?
How long?
How long did all was that less all
Three,
less than
three
a year?
years.
Oh, within 3 years from meeting him to marrying
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
you are
When the
married.
scene was when the
And
scene
this
was
is
fixed,
somebody,
I didn't even meet him. I had seen him one time, and I had to say yes. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yes. I see that.
if you
Yeah,
guys can see my face here, I'm looking at her. I haven't even meet him. So how many months in did you finally meet your potential
I
mate?
think he visited. I don't remember. I don't remember. Maybe 6 months, like 4 or 5 months after. I don't remember because that time was really traumatizing. And if you ask me, I cannot.
I
Yeah,
know.
I
And you
absolutely
hated it.
hated it. And I thought, like, what? How can I get out of this
So,
place?
oh my gosh. So, the question I have for you is, on your wedding day, you were absolutely miserable.
No, no,
No, why
because
not?
I didn't know myself, and I was happy that I was at least getting out of Mumbai.
You were happy you're getting and
Yeah,
leaving mother.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Leaving
yeah.
mother.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So you kind of, that brought you happiness. But even though this human being that you were marrying was not the person
No.
you wanted to
And
marry,
I didn't know I was making a mistake.
because you were being a good little girl and your parents told you, or a good grown woman, and your parents was telling you, marry this guy because we're
Yeah.
telling you to. And I'm not really giving you a choice. Were you scared that you were going to be ostracized from the family, or they were, is that your fear, that you didn't want your mother to hate you? You wanted to be seen as like the good
Yeah,
girl.
that was the only thing I wanted, and I realized that that did not happen. And it never happened and would never happen. Never can I ever make this person happy. This was a realization. But by
I
then, I
see.
just wanted to get out. I had had enough of that hell, and I wanted to get out. I mean, who doesn't talk to their child for 3 years? And it's just unbelievable.
Why didn't she
Huh?
speak to you for 3 years? 3 years within that. Why didn't she speak to you for
Because
three
she
years?
was upset that I had someone in my life. And the reason why a narcissist does is because they will withdraw. It's like they're withdrawing their love from you because that's how they can control you to do things that they
Mm-hmm.
want because they know you live off that. And that's how the narcissist gets their energy from people like me, her children. Yeah.
Gotcha. And what 3 year span was this? Was 3 years during the time you were
Yeah.
talking to this
Yeah,
gentleman?
that I was engaged to this
Okay.
person. Yeah. And it was a very
Okay.
sad, bitter, horrible time. I was going to work, but then I was frustrated. I would talk to her and not get any response back. It was really, really miserable. And I thought that what how can I get out of this misery? And then I just gave in. I did not say anything. I didn't have that other person in my life at that time to just
Mm-hmm.
maybe even run away, elope, and marry. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was too afraid to do anything, and I had nowhere else to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I got married and came. I said, at least I am going to be out of this hell. That's the only thing that was keeping me alive until that marriage, that day that I was getting married. And I was told, don't tell any of your friends. So none of my close friends came to my marriage
Why could you not tell any of
because
your
those
friends?
close friends knew I would be in a relationship with that other person, and my mom didn't want anyone to know.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
I can't share
So
my
now
happiness with
you're
anyone.
married.
Nothing.
No,
No, my happiness does not matter.
because she's
Yes.
in control.
Yes.
You're not. So now you get married at 21,
24.
21, 22, 23, 24, and you move to Hong Kong with
Yeah.
this gentleman. So now you guys are living together. Is there an emotional, sexual, or spiritual connection with this man at
Um,
all?
there is a sexual connection, of course, but there wasn't the spiritual and the mental connection. That was not there. Mental compatibility was not there. And I grew up in a nuclear family, like mom, dad, sister, and I. But when I
Mm-hmm.
came to Hong Kong, I was living with my in-laws, and had like today would have been probably different. I probably would have still been in the marriage, probably, but I don't know. If had that person had my ex husband and I like lived our own lives separately and had an understanding of who we are, because when you're around other people, you just can't, unwind and be yourself. And I had never got to be myself, and then I'm in a different environment where I am supposed to like be this daughter-in-law, be a wife, and I don't even know myself truly. And what is my individuality? Who am I? I don't know anything about that. That picture did not exist. I went from being a daughter to someone's daughter-in-law and wife. So I am figuring myself out in this marriage, and I am someone's sister-in-law now. But and I have these different roles, and I have extended in-laws and families and parties to attend, where I am listening to those people and touching people's feet is how we receive blessings in Hinduism. And I'm told to do this constantly when I have no respect for these people, and respect needs to come from here, my heart. And I don't even know these people, and
Mm-hmm.
I can't gel with these people because they're so different than
Why are you
because
touching their
that's what
feet?
how that's how you get you that this is something. If you watch some old Indian movies, you take the blessings of
Uh-huh.
elders in your family, and
Uh-huh.
touching their feet is kind of like a symbolic of I respect you, please bless me.
So when do you touch their feet? Like when you come into the home, you're touching the mother and father's feet?
At some like ceremonies, religious ceremonies, after you have just been wedded, especially like once you're wedded, that's when you do that. At least in my community, that's what they do on special occasions.
Okay.
And when the elders are around you, you go and touch their feet and seek their blessings. um
Okay. And this is in the
yeah,
Hindu
yeah,
culture.
Hinduism. And so,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
was, and I came to a realization, and like my mother-in-law would keep on telling me, hey, touch, keep on reminding me, touch their feet. And I was like, I was pissed at that. It just could not understand this when I don't have the way I see the how people conduct themselves is how I can see whether I have genuine respect for these people or not. But the kind of lives they live are so disconnected, and I did not have that in me. I did not have respect for these people,
Hmm.
but I had to kind of like, just do what other people were telling me to do and fit in.
So now let me ask you, you move in with your husband, this arranged marriage, you're
Mm-hmm.
living with him. Was his in-laws living there the
The
whole
mom
time?
and law and father. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, you can't ever walk around your house naked because
Yeah.
these people are here.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so now how was life married? You said there was, okay, so emotional and spirit connection you didn't have. You lost your
Yes.
virginity to this man? And was that something you regret to this day, or what? Like you're okay. So sexually you guys had a
Yeah.
connection. Okay. All right. So what ended the relationship? Why did you end
Um,
it?
it was a 9 year long process, Shirley. Really, I,
Oh, 9
I,
years.
as I was out of that mess that I was in my life before I moved to Hong Kong,
Uh-huh.
like stepping away from all of that abuse and just being and understanding myself as a person and figuring out myself and my identity, and oh, I have independence and I can sort of make a living and go to work and find my own people in a new city
Mm-hmm.
and find how I want to really be when I am not
Mm-hmm.
around someone who is constantly abusing me and judging me.
Abusing.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. So what type of
When
abuse?
we were younger, there was physical abuse and constantly verbal, emotional, mental abuse.
Oh, did you
In
work
Mumbai, briefly, yeah, yeah.
briefly? Did he not want you to
Did
work?
no, they're okay. They were okay for
Okay.
me to work, but then at
Okay.
some point, my one of the aunts told me, the oldest aunt tells me, quit your work, start cooking, focus on that because that's like
Mm.
I was like Indian. A lot of traditional Indian girls probably are groomed,
Mm-hmm.
brought up to be daughters-in-law and wives.
I see.
So
I
yes,
see.
I'm very good at
And
cooking.
I'm going to ask you a question. Do you ever feel that you were born into the wrong
Ah,
culture? Or do you feel it was just your parents that made the situation
probably the
worse?
parents. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I won't say culture
Okay.
because not everyone in that culture was going to have the same experience.
That's what I'm saying. Because I do have a friend, and, her experience is
Mm.
opposite. So I guess that's why I
Yeah,
asked that question. Was it the parents that just made the situation worse than it
yeah.
was?
I grew up
You know?
thinking, do I really belong here? Am I actually the the blood child of these two people and this person? I honestly at that point thought like
Mm-hmm.
I don't even look like them. I'm probably adopted. That's what my six,
Did,
7 year
did
old thought. Huh?
does your sister get the same treatment?
Um,
Did your sister get the same treatment?
Similar.
When I say the same treatment, do you feel as though she was treated like
Um,
you were?
she was older and she was academically challenged, so she needed a little bit more attention from mother, and she
Okay.
did get that. But
Okay.
then, the way she would conduct the two of us, my sister started to have confidence issues and jealousy because I was the more
Mm.
independent one.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
I was the more independent one, but I
I
had more
see.
responsibility, but no freedom. No freedom.
No freedom. And you were the
Yeah,
youngest. You weren't even the oldest.
yeah.
Okay. So I guess now, how long,
Mm.
9 years, how long were you married? Because you said it was a
So
9 year
a
process.
total
How
of
long were you
12
married
years.
altogether? 12 years. So not 10, 11, 12. So at year three is when it started to go
Yeah.
downhill. What change is that the physical abuse started?
No. So in the marriage, that was everything was fine. It's not like my husband is a beating monster. No, nothing. He's just a normal
Mm-hmm.
person who'd never been in a relationship himself,
Gotcha.
probably. And then I'm a
True.
new person in his life. But it's very unfortunate that I have
Mm-hmm.
a history that is unraveling, and I started
Mm-hmm.
to, find my life, start a new life in a new city where I don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily feel a connection with because the people are so different. The way of life is really not the type. I grew up in Bahrain, and people are just very different. They're very, very warm. And I did not quite find the same connection here in Hong Kong. Um, and
Gotcha.
so doesn't matter. I start to, start working, find my, my feet on the ground, and then I realize, just like slowly, the realization dawns on me. And then the other person with whom I did not get the resolve, the relationship just abruptly ended, started to come up like, this did not resolve. I needed resolve. So I found myself back in touch
Oh,
with this person just to find that resolve. But then I also realized that this was a mistake and I don't even love my husband. That was a realization. That's when I don't want to be in this marriage because I don't
okay.
love this person. I genuinely don't love this person
Gotcha.
because I was pretending to love them because I wanted to get out, and this whole marriage is an absolute mess and based on lie. It was all dawning on me in those days,
Mm-hmm.
at the 3 year mark. And that's when I said, like, I'm sorry, this marriage is a mistake. I want out. And then the next thing that happens is the conversation goes to the in-laws. She wants to leave me, is what
Oh, Lord.
that's what he
That's what
did.
he did. Such
That's what he did
childish.
every single time. And then everybody's talking to me and asking me to talk to my parents. Like, that's the last thing I want.
Why did it take 9 years? Why 9 years,
because
though?
it took me 9 years to find my courage and say, put my foot down and say, and then in the middle of all of
Ah,
that mess, I also had a boy, a child from the marriage. Yeah.
you had a child, yeah. And as one mother to another, I get it. Once children are involved, it makes everything sticky. I'm not going to use the word hard because, I mean, we can still continue to live our life. It just makes things a little more stickier and
Yeah.
harder to walk away once a child
Yeah.
is involved. Yes, it gets just a little extra convoluted when you got
Yeah.
kids. So, okay. So, yeah, that explains the 9 years and why it took so long then.
Yeah.
I understand as a mother. I get it. I get it. So, you were able to find
Hmm.
your voice. How does it, so now how did you feel after 12 years and now you're a single mom? You're a single mom. You're in a culture where that is very much frowned upon. And not being a single mother, but I feel like leaving your arranged marriage, how is that seen upon in the Hindu culture? Is it like, we don't want nothing to do with you, or it just depends on the class of
Um,
people or the
it
person?
depends on my relationship with people. And
Hmm.
honestly, one of the reasons why I would not want to go back to Mumbai is because I don't want anyone to be put through. Although it's like everything is on Facebook, I have a new relationship, and I would want to clarify to people who are listening. I wouldn't call myself a single mom because my son did not live with me when I started life from scratch. He lived with his father and in-laws because they have family. I have none over here in Hong Kong. So I chose
Hmm.
to walk away and then
Gotcha.
um, find time to keep that bond and connection and meet him consistently over the years that I have lived away from. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And that's good. And dad was not mean. Dad allowed you to see him
Yeah.
with no problem. Like that
Yeah,
was
that was
not an
not an
issue.
issue. That was
That's
not an
very
issue.
good. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes it is what it is, and whatever works in the benefit of the child, that's what's
Yeah.
important. So you guys worked it out, did the co-parenting as best
Yeah,
as you know how to do.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Um, what was your initial question that I was trying to answer?
I made you lose your train of thought. Oh, what I said, you had clarified. You said I wasn't a single parent because he was with him. But before we said that, I think what we were saying was I don't even remember. Oh, I think I was saying
12
you.
years.
I don't remember. 12 years, you
Yes.
regained your power, you found your voice, you were single. Oh, that's the question I was saying. Is that
Ah,
something that is frowned upon?
yeah.
Divorce in the Hindu culture, and how is your family seeing you now? Like, I know you said you've set some boundaries and you have distanced yourself, which there, to me, in honesty, sometimes that's the healthiest decision you can make, and probably so everybody can be respected. Sometimes you got to do that. But just in, I guess, in general, in the Hindu culture, as a woman, is that frowned upon to
I
divorce your
think
husband?
so. Mm,
Okay. She said,
yeah,
I think
but
so. Okay.
I mean, the reason why sound like it doesn't bother me is because I have that's what I first thought, that it's going to be frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how I'm going to be seen. I'm going to be like, as it is, I
Mm-hmm.
feel very disconnected from the city. And then now I am going to be an absolute outcast.
I
So,
see. And it took you a lot of courage to fight those fears and those thoughts that are racing through your mind. And I guess this was the point where you're like, I don't give two fucks what people think because my happiness is important.
absolutely. And yeah, and all I
Yeah.
wanted in true honesty was my own happiness, because I know it was impacting my son and my relationship with him, and I did not want my relationship with him to be the one I have with my parent, my mom. It's a messed up one, and I don't want a messed up another messed up human being,
Hmm.
at my own hands because of
Exactly.
my own mistakes. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And children, they pay attention to stuff they see more than we want to
yeah,
believe. They may not be able to vocalize
yeah,
themselves in the way they would like, but visually, they pay attention and they know and they're listening more than you think that we may think they're
yeah.
not. But so now we're going to fast forward to the magnificent husband you have now. So 12 years you left your first marriage. How many years were you now single before you met your
Oh,
husband presently?
boyfriend, but we're committed. Been together for two and a half
Oh, that's
years.
fine. Listen, girl, 23 years I've been with my man. We are not
Yeah,
legally married. And I
yeah,
say husband. To me, here's the thing, and people may
yeah,
argue with me, but what I choose to call this man should not be
yeah,
of bother
yeah,
to anybody. Husband, boyfriend, significant other, or his name. How does that
yeah,
impact your life? Whatever title I choose to give
yeah,
this individual that I've been with as long as I've been with. And that's just how I feel with everything else or everyone else in their relationship. I don't care what you choose to call this man you sleep with.
yeah, yeah,
I don't care. So the listener shouldn't care. And the podcast that I've run, it
yeah,
doesn't matter. It does not matter if you don't have the piece of paper. For me, it doesn't matter. Whenever you choose to do it, that's your personal
yeah,
choice and his.
yeah,
So on this show, we can continue whatever you want to call him, husband, boyfriend, his name,
yeah.
significant other, whatever title you want to give this
Yeah,
human
I
being. It doesn't matter.
appreciate that you share that, because these are the same
No
values I
problem.
share. It doesn't matter to me, unless
Yeah.
like if it's something that is required to do and it helps the relationship and everything else and living in a country. I'm completely for it. But for now, we're like really committed to each other. So,
Yeah.
I would say it took maybe 5 years and lots of kissing a lot of frogs, being in short relationships, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
really a lot of healing, a lot of figuring out, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of finding my confidence in the
Mm-hmm.
years that I had been single, but consistently putting myself out there, um,
Mm-hmm.
despite
And
despite
healing.
fear, despite you know, com- d- despite setbacks and disappointments every single time, and just seen as a piece of meat in a city where the odds are completely against me, because there's way more single girls in the market, and there is people from other countries nearby that are here as domestic helpers. Women are domestic helpers, so they add to that, to the population. And I'm on the dating
Mm-hmm.
sites, and it's like that's completely new way of going around and finding a partner. So that was that. And besides, like, that I had one person who I was consistently a friends with, who was also family friends with the family I was married in. And she told me, like, you only have about a 2 or 3 year time that a man would marry you. Why would a man marry you, if you're not going to give him a child? And that's a fear I carried because of what she shared, that I may not find. But after some time, I realized that this person was very happy to let go of me, because I am a divorced person. I don't know what her reason was, but
Mm-hmm.
I knew one day when I was walking with her that she just was looking for someone to hang out with and like do her
Mm-hmm.
business, and not care about sitting down and talking with me and connecting with me and sharing about life with me anymore. And I said, I don't need this person anymore.
Good.
And I
That's
don't
good.
need what she shared. May have been her experience or whatever other people must have shared with her, because she's been married for the longest time. She's still living in Hong Kong. She happens to also be a flight attendant with Cathay. So, very
Oh,
interesting, right?
shucks.
So,
Oh,
but
that's so
but
interesting.
yeah, very open-minded person, but still like Indian, and have
You
the
had to set the boundaries
set
in
the
the friendship.
boundaries, and then find a completely new set of people, go do whatever makes me happy. So that's what I did. Things I was told I could not do:
Good.
traveling by myself, very scary, but I did it. Going out dancing,
Good.
I did that. Like, filled my cup, made myself happy, and
Good. That's good.
took
Filled your cup up, which was running
absolutely,
dry for quite a few
absolutely. and
years.
then and then I think, like, as I worked on myself and became this happier person, a more fulfilled, I would say confident girl, um
Mm-hmm.
I realized that the rejection was not, cannot possibly take this rejection personally anymore, because people, those are not my people. They are not the guys I'm supposed to be with anyways. So that was great. And then I
Mm-hmm.
just went like, I'm gonna keep on dating till I find the right person. And then I did meet him, but then somebody entered his life. This is like 2017, early 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I met him,
Mm-hmm.
and I went completely like against my rules of, who I'm seeing on a dating site. This person can see all my pictures, and they like what they see, they like what they read, whatever it is, right? I put on all the details, and that I'm looking for a serious relationship, and I'm a sapiophile, and blah blah blah. uh, but I do not see this person's picture. And I had a rule: if I don't see this person's picture, not fair, I gotta see, otherwise, I'm not talking to you. I broke that rule
I agree.
with him.
With him, the man you're with
I
presently,
broke that.
you broke that rule. What in the world made you not just delete him or swipe to the right or swipe to the left, or whatever you had to do? What made you even consider?
Um,
what on his profile was like, okay, let me give him a try, even though I can't see him.
One of the first things he said was, "You are you consider yourself lucky because you're gonna find the most committed person." Blah blah blah. He's brave, like just praising himself up to an absolutely new person he is meeting online. But if I share the back history of why he was doing what he was doing, it makes complete sense to me, because I was all like, I had a long a list of checklists of what I want in my partner, and long hair was high up on the list because I get very attracted to that. And when I did not even know what he looked like when I was about to meet him. But we got off the chatting on the off the dating app, quickly exchanged numbers, and quickly found a day to meet. But I didn't know what this person
Hmm.
looked like still.
And he knew
Yes,
what you look
absolutely.
like. So, what were you going to do if you got there and it was just going to be like, this motherfucker is ugly? Literally.
Um, Luckily, for me, he was not that ugly, but I won't say sparks flew and blah blah blah. We had a good conversation. He seemed interested, and that's about it.
Good.
And I,
He
huh?
was attractive. There are some people I like to say he was attractive. There are some people
Yeah,
you meet that'll make your drawers wet
yeah,
right away because they're just so hot. Then there are other people like, I could talk to you. You're okay. My drawers are not getting wet, but you're
yeah,
okay. That's how I
yeah,
used to clarify it. Yeah, he's attractive. And then there are just people like, you're not my class at
yeah.
all. Like,
And
no.
he would probably fall in the third category.
Really? At
Yeah,
first, when
I
you first
mean
met him?
nothing
Oh, because of
because
your
of my
your
list.
lists,
Yeah,
and I've seen him because he does not
he
have
does.
long hair. So you probably was going through this list mentally in your hair, checking off. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have this. He doesn't
No,
have
but
this.
he
He
definitely
doesn't
was
have
like
this.
that was one thing, and I think it's just something I track, but it's not the ultimate thing. But as a sapiophile that I am, like the mental connection, being able to have the conversation, that was there from the first
Hmm.
day, which was great, and then his wanting to see me consistently, which was great, and then
Hmm.
uh he was actually meeting someone and friends with someone who said suddenly this person had feelings for him, and then he had to decide, he had to have a very big decision to make between that other person and me. So I got dropped,
Oh,
and I was,
he dropped you at first.
because he went with that other person who he had spent a considerable time with, and he was the type of person
Oh,
who
okay.
would give time to one person and show patience and blah blah blah. And that's how you get to know a person. You don't get to know someone until you start to live with this person. But then it was, but he gave me a
Absolutely.
long explanation. And when he sent that long text to me after 3 dates, he sent a long text to me.
Hmm.
I was attending some seminar in the middle of a break time during the session, and I'm reading that thing. I'm
Hmm.
like, fuck you. You are dumping me? You dumping me?
Uh-huh. I could see your face too with your glasses on, like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, and I was pissed with him for a while, and I still joke about it till this day. And he's like, "Yeah, it was a
Oh,
mistake." And but then it was also, I would
oh.
say, I won't say like, he dumped me. Like, yes, that happened. I'm not gonna take that away, but it also opened me up to understanding friendship with a man when he is
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding friendship with a man, a masculine, a man, like a man, the type of man I want to be with, you know, because
Mm-hmm. Did
by
you
then I
have
had
to?
practiced this tantra and all those things, and I'm like, I would love to have a man who is going to be
Uh,
so present with me, and he is that type of a person. right now.
Interesting. And I'm assuming, did you guys, since he was in a relationship because he had chose the other girl, I guess it wasn't really just high and
No, it
by.
wasn't. And what happened was he wanted to, he told me he couldn't see me as, he could not see me as a, as not being friends with me. So
Okay.
I was ready to say, like,
He wanted to be
oh, I
friends.
was pissed, and I was like,
I
you,
know.
you dumped me, and then you want to friend zone me. You want to keep your fucking options open. I was all over him. I'm like,
Oh,
you, how can you do that? But the thing is, he did not get upset about and he was okay. He was able to handle that and still understand where
okay.
I was coming from and help me understand his perspective on things. I was ready to just go,
Okay.
get out of my life. Go.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
leave me alone,
Yeah.
please.
You don't dump
But he didn't
me.
want to leave you alone. Even though he didn't pick you, he did not want to leave you
Yeah.
alone.
And through that, we kind of start to build a bond and through and I've always been someone, like, I've envisioned doing something with my partner. There is me, I want to go
Mm-hmm.
and do things in my life, and there is this thing that we want to go and do things in our life, and something that I had was, like, helping people. I don't know how, but then he brings in,
Mm-hmm.
like, how messed up these dating apps are, and everybody's having lots of options available, blah blah blah, and how can we create an app? So I'm thinking, and we're just putting ideas together and talking about things. And he knew I was into Toastmasters at the time. He knew I was a coach, and he was going through a phase in his life where, he hadn't spoken to the kids about this. So his own divorce. Yeah,
He
yeah,
has
yeah.
children as well.
So he has children from
Gotcha.
his previous
Gotcha.
marriage as well. So and that was one of the things that the reasons why the other relationship with the woman did not work out. And at one point, like, of course, so he was asking me, how did you have this conversation with your child when you were, living a separate life and blah blah blah. And then I was talking to him about that, and I was having problems at work sometimes, so I would ask for his advice. So we kind of build a friendship in a way, trust. The time I remember missing having a man in my life was when I'm moving things around the house or moving a house. So one time I needed to shift things in my
Mm-hmm.
house, and I'm like, can you please help me? And I said, I'll treat you to dinner, and he was happy to do that. uh, so yeah, and
Oh.
then I was very aware he's in a relationship, but I would do, like, I want a man's help in my life, I'm gonna make it obvious, like, please help me out, I don't care. So, but he was happy to
Oh.
oblige, and that was nice.
So how long after the dump did this man realize he had made a
I had
mistake
to,
before you guys started dating?
I would say 1 year, around 1 year, 1.5 years mark.
It was
Yeah.
quite some time. That was quite interesting to keep your distance. Now, you guys kept it
Yeah.
platonic within that whole time he was in the
Yeah,
relationship. Gotcha.
absolutely.
Okay. So nothing happened. It was just a complete friend, and that's it. No
Yeah.
more, no less.
And in the
Okay. Very
meantime,
good. So,
because he was feeling so bad about that he had to choose the other person and leave me, he was on dating apps setting up my profile because I was so I was done with
oh,
it.
that was nice of
So
him.
he would think of guys and set up meetings with guys, and because he really believed that I could find someone and I should be with someone. And like, he knew everything and was very nosy, and he knew all the relationships I was going. I'm like, go away,
Oh my
go away,
gosh.
stop it, you.
So your present husband helped you find dating prospects before you guys got together. This is hysterical. This is too funny. And fun fact about her husband, he's from New Jersey.
Yeah, yeah. But not only that, Shirley, I
Uh,
also like so when this person started to reach out to me and I was talking about tantra and like eye gazing and how powerful that can be, he got interested and intrigued and he wanted to meet me, and that's like, and then I was just ending Toastmasters and getting into storytelling. Very interestingly, his ex-wife is into storytelling circle here in Hong Kong, and he said he suggested, like, I get in touch with them and like tell my story, or get into the process of getting ready to tell my story. So I was practicing that with him, like in the next few months. And then what I was trying to also understand was, why is he meeting me suddenly now so much more? I asked him, what's going on in your love life? He said, not that great. I said, what's going on? I said, this is the issue. I'm like, oh, okay, boundary issues. And so I happen to be helping him in his relationship with a woman he dumped me
oh.
for.
Oh gosh, this is like it's quite comical. He dumped you, and even though you were mad, you still kept the door slightly open for him to communicate with you. You did not completely
Yeah,
walk away, and he did the same
yeah.
as well.
And I would have to, give appreciation to him because I was ready to do that, right? I wanted to like get out, go away. I'm not making friends with you.
Yeah, but
You
he
dumped
didn't
me, blah
allow
blah
it.
blah. But having continued that conversation with me, I realized, like, okay, there is value in having him as a friend and advisor, because I don't have too many people I can trust, but this person is someone I can. So I kept that going, and well, I was not expecting anything, but then when he started to meet me often, more often, I'm like, I'm helping this person. But then what was also happening was we started doing things together, and the more I was meeting him, I started to fall in love with him. And
Mm,
and
I see. Were you getting to the point where you felt like, okay, so I can have respect for your relationship? I need to take a whole almost football field step back because I'm starting to get feelings that are unhealthy and that are
um,
not good.
no, it was like I told him, I told him
Oh,
I
you
have
told
feelings
him.
for you. And he said, when I am not in a relationship, I 100% know I would be with you. And then I was really upset. I was so mad, but then I knew his relationship.
I have to give him, I have to applaud him. This individual is just like, he is confident and he knows
Yes.
what he wants at the moment that he wants it. No one's going to deter him. And he doesn't, he is the prime example of, look, I don't really give two fucks how your feelings feel. This is what it is right now. And this is what it's going to be. Take it or
And
leave it. You know, which how most of us need to be. And also his respect for his relationship, even you feeding all of this information, how he still remained strong and didn't
yeah,
cheat.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I applaud him for that because not many people have
yeah.
that discipline.
And he knew that, and that's why he chose to be this way. And that's, and kind of what you're talking about, I'm gonna the thing you say, that he knows what he wants, I kind of started to match that
Mm-hmm.
energy as well, because that's what happens with the feminine. When the man knows what he wants, the woman starts to get in touch with her feminine. And I was, and I
Absolutely.
just ball one day. And he had, I have to let you know this, and all the women listening, he had a taste of my hummus. Hummus, I made very good chickpea hummus, and he had a taste of that, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's really good. So he had a taste of that, and then one time, I like we went out. Hi, we were supposed to go out on a hike and do some sort of some activity, because at the time I was creating videos and I was helping him with that. Um, and then I
Mm-hmm.
said, I just literally opened my heart to him. I said, look, I am absolutely in love with you. And while we were doing those activities, I was starting to feel that sexual attraction towards him, but not just sexual. It was
Mm-hmm.
like really, I'm really falling in love with you. I told him that. I said, this is me, take it or leave it. And I was ready to put my friendship on the line, and I did. And after I shared my heart with him, I was still continuously saying, I was I did not hold anything back. I let him see all my emotions. So he saw me emotionally naked before he saw me physically naked.
Gotcha, gotcha. Because you
Yeah.
let it all out, which which is good because he was keeping it
Yeah.
honest with you. So you might as well keep it honest with him. And it just, I guess you, like you said, you were matching
Yeah.
his energy because of the strongness he was portraying. He dumped you. Not only did he dump you, you're telling him how much he loves you and cares about you. And his response is, well, when I leave my present relationship, I'll consider it. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. That would break my
It
heart and be like,
it
you know what?
did.
Fuck
It
you.
did. It did. And then I cried and like let him say everything, stained his white t-shirt with my mascara. Cause
Oh.
I was crying on his shoulders. He's trying to
Oh.
console me. But
Oh.
that was when he woke up to this woman in me and realized that he
Mm-hmm.
had made a mistake, because growing up and being in Princeton and hanging around like lots of people of different ethnicities, and he was always attracted to the opposite, someone like very exotic. So I was the epitome of that.
Mm-hmm.
And he had imagined himself like, like
Ah.
and then I still question him. You had me in your life and you still did not. It was a difficult
He
choice,
still
blah
didn't
blah
take
blah. It
you.
goes on, and like we just still joke about it every single time that comes up. But yeah, so I shared my heart with him, and then I walked away. I remember him he was on the at the bus stop, and I went back home with that same like disheartened feeling, and he had the same feeling I had, that fuck, I'm losing my best friend. I can't, how can I afford
Oh.
to do that? I c-
Were you friends with the
no, no,
ex-girlfriend?
I wasn't. No, I wasn't. No,
Okay.
no, no.
Okay. Because I was like, how does she feel that you guys are together
Yeah, she was
now?
very upset, of course, but he had to like call it quits because that relationship was not going anywhere. That lady would not have been a long-term good match anyways, because she didn't have children and she would get upset when he would spend time with his children. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's hard
So,
when you don't have
yeah. Yeah.
children. Yeah. It's hard
Yeah.
to understand the
Yeah.
dynamic, the setup, and what that parent has to do. It might upset the other person who doesn't have children to really understand co-parenting can be difficult, challenging, hard,
Yeah.
and
So,
yeah,
which
yeah.
was the value I brought, because well, I have s- a child as well. Yeah, my mom
You're a
as well.
mother.
Yeah.
You have a child. You
Yeah.
understand the whole
Mm.
setup. And your son is in Hong Kong. Are
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
kids in
Yeah.
Hong Kong?
Abs-
Okay, so that is perfect because um and are they close by
Yeah.
to you guys? Like where you live now, are the kids close enough that you can
We've
see them every
moved
day?
we've moved to where he can see his children closer, because that way it's closer for him. For me, I have always met my son at the weekends, so now I go over at the weekends or have him over, spend time over the weekends. So,
Oh, okay. Okay, that's always been the agreement with the
kind of.
weekends. Okay. But he's like within
Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
hour
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of,
yeah.
your son? Oh, okay. So everyone's close enough. That's what I mean. Like everyone's within an hour
Yeah.
like of each other, which is good. Okay. So now your life has drastically changed from the narcissistic mother to the unhealthy marriage that you realize that I don't love this man. And now things have changed, a lot of self love. You regain your power, you found your voice,
Mhm.
you are owning yourself, you're in a healthy relationship with a man you love. So, what message do you have for a woman, especially a woman, a Hindu woman? You're a perfect example because, I mean, I can speak from woman to woman, but I'm not the same culture. So maybe a Hindu woman who is in a relationship right now that they're not happy,
Mm.
you know. I mean, granted, it applies to
Yeah.
every woman. So, what message would you say? How does she find the courage to realize that it is okay to walk away? You're not a wrong person if you
Mm.
walk away. Your world is not going to end if you walk away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough decision, but you have to do it for you first and foremost. That's something that you may have not grown up um, with or understanding that you need to love yourself and have the importance of being able to love yourself. I mean, emotional um, i- independence. I mean, we're trained to be okay, we have to be independent, maybe financially independent, but nobody talks about emotional independence, that you have to
Mm-hmm.
know how to regulate yourself, and so that you're not
Mm-hmm.
affecting your relationships around you. Nobody trains you in that stuff, nobody talks about that stuff. And as long as you're in that messy, muddled relationship, you're going to have a messed up relationship with yourself. And a lot of people would stay in that muddle than be alone. And
Yes. Yep. It's
it's
scary to be
very
alone for some
scary,
people.
but I, I would say I am a living example of having lived through that and come out the other side and find that happiness and purpose in life. Because if you are not happy, no one around you is going to be happy. Your life is going to be miserable. And if you choose to live
Mm-hmm.
like that, you are going to have regrets when you're on your
Exactly.
last breaths. Do you want to have that? And people may think, and maybe you may say, I am doing this for the children, I am in the marriage for the children, but you don't realize how your children are being impacted by your energy and the way you and your husband are conducting each other. And these patterns are something that they're going to play out in their relationships if you don't take care of them. And you take care of them by taking care of yourself first. And no one is going to tell you, hey, darling, you're important. You got to take the
Mm-hmm.
stand up for yourself, because when you stand up for yourself, you will be able to do that for other people. But first and foremost, you have to do that for yourself, to understand who you are. It's important to understand who you are. And when you understand who you are, is when you will know what you want. Otherwise, you will lead your
Mm-hmm.
life and you will call it fate. Like you'll lead a very unconscious life, which is not the reason
Mm-hmm.
why you are here. You're here for your spiritual evolution. So you have to choose your
Exactly.
pain.
Absolutely. I like how you said that. You have to choose your pain, and you're right. You do have to live your life. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. Every day is not easy. Society will make you feel as though this is what you need to do and everything needs to be straight cut. And once you want to take a different pathway, you're immediately
Yeah.
judged. Once you want to do things differently, society's standing at that gate, lined up, ready to judge you because you're doing things slightly differently. Um, Regardless what your
Yeah.
culture may be, it's, life is hard out of the way. And truth be told, divorce is always frowned upon. and not even frowned upon. I feel like these days they make you feel like you're a failure if
Yeah.
you had a divorce. Oh, you couldn't make your relationship
Mm,
work? Like, what? What are you trying to signify here? You just want me to be unhappy and I'm just making poor decisions. I don't know what's best for me. But you get a divorce, that's how people look at it. They frown upon it and it's automatically like, "Oh, you couldn't make that work. I wonder why. Oh my
mm,
gosh." And I through a lot of years of self-reflection and realizing, okay, a divorce is
yeah.
not a negative because you have to do what's best for yourself. And when you reach that point of unhealthy in the relationship, you have to go. And it doesn't even necessarily mean unhealthy, it could just be a revelation where one partner realizes this is not good for me anymore. This is not where I want to be, and I don't want to be here anymore. It could be something just as
Yeah.
simple as that. It's not always necessarily
Mm,
toxic situation. It's just you may realize this is
mm,
not where you want to be. Very similar to a job. A relationship, as I don't want it to sound mean, but it's kind of like a job because we all reach that point sometimes in a line of work where you're like, I'm tired of this and I don't want to do this anymore. What do? You start putting in
mm.
applications and you start looking for
Yeah.
something else until you find that thing that suits you and that makes you happy and that aligns
Mm,
with your life. And then you're there till
mm.
retirement. A relationship is no
Yeah.
different. You're in one relationship, you get to a point where you feel tired and exhausted, and this is not for me anymore. It's not serving me anymore. You start putting in applications at the dating sites. Or wherever you start going
Yeah.
to the bar. Now, the new thing is social media. People are meeting people on Instagram and Facebook too. So, putting your
Yeah.
applications in, you know? And that's pretty what it is until you find that person that you
Yeah.
align with. And as human beings, we're constantly evolving and changing. The person I am right now at 38 years old is not the person I was 20 years ago. I don't think the same. I don't see things the same. Life has changed me. Different situations that I've been in has changed me. I am not the same from 20 years ago. I've
Yeah.
evolved. My
Yeah.
partner has evolved. The people we were then, we are not now. So if we can't figure out a way to be unison together to build a connection, that means we got to fucking
Yeah.
separate or we're just going to live here in
Yeah.
misery. So we had a awesome conversation, Neha Sonney. I so appreciate you coming back on the show. And I'm getting better with your name. I had to look at my special needs spelling so I can say it correctly. But it was great having you come back on the show. I appreciate you coming back on the show. Conversation with you is awesome. It's awesome. And she is my she is my furthest guest. She is 12 hours ahead of me. So technically, it is the next day for her right now. I'm speaking into the future. But conversation with her is awesome. I love talking to her. We have good conversations. I'm educating myself on the Hindu culture. She's awakened me. She's also let me know that she is not Mexican. Even though I
Yeah.
assumed that at first. But as we end today, is there anything else you'd like to say? She does have a book coming out, and I'm waiting till she gives me the date that the book is going to launch so I can read
Mm.
it because I'm very intrigued by what she's writing. And if you'd like to let them know, what is your book
The
name?
name of my book, Shirley, is Wired for Self Love. and it has me with a big smile sitting on the floor in a very casual pose, uh, and it's that big smile that I want for every reader to get. I want them to experience through the book, to be a little bit more, if they come out of reading this particular book, even 1 or 2% integrated as a person, I think
Mm-hmm.
I would
Mm-hmm.
the book would have achieved its purpose. And then
Exactly.
that's
Yep.
it. So it's wired for self-love, and um I think by the time this podcast is out, the book would already be released and be on Amazon.
Yes. Well, you have to, but yeah, by the time this podcast is out, the book will
Yeah.
already be released. By the time the first podcast is out, the book will already be
Yep.
released. So you guys will have access to
Yeah.
the book soon. And I will be definitely getting her book
Thank you.
and seeing her beautiful face on the cover. But as we end today, I always like to thank you guys for listening. Till next week's episode, as I always end with love yourself, voice yourself, and be yourself. And you guys have a great day. Till next time. Thanks for tuning in to Funpale Podcast. If you want to continue the conversation or share your takeaways, I want to hear from you. Head on over to the website or join our Facebook community and comment your favorite part of the show or share your thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say. Don't forget to rate and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Chat with you next week.